It's the Merseyside Derby. Everton's best start to a top-flight season since 1965. Liverpool, of course, defending champions, the best team in the country, come back after a devastating performance against Aston Villa. It's one of the biggest games of the weekend. In fact, one of the biggest games of this season. We're about to preview it now for you. Smash the like button, hit the share button as well. Here we go. Yes, welcome everybody back to the channel. Sorry if you're new to the channel as a guest, James and Owen and whatnot. You have to hear my awful laugh at the beginning of my intro, but that's just how I laugh. How are you all? You all good?
Yeah, doing great. My mate's doing perfect.
Doing good. Owen seems to have frozen, I think, or is he?
That's all right, lad. Don't worry.
Everton did that.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. So why Owen?
He's reenacting Everton's trophy cupboard, I think. I think he is. I'm not too sure though. We'll see.
He'll be back in a minute. I'm sure he will be. When he comes back, we'll add him back to it. So we'll start with Liverpool rather than Everton. We know they've had a really good start to the season, boys. It's a big game for yourselves because, of course, the 7-2 defeat to Villa was a shock, a little damaging maybe to some of the confidence levels, etc. Did you expect to bounce back with no problems, or are you a little bit worried about some kind of hangover after that game?
Who's first?
We'll go with James first. Do you
know what, mate? I think this is what I've kept putting it to, and I can only come to this conclusion because I can't come up with any other conclusion, and that's just it was a one-off. And I say that because I feel like, and I said this to Alex the other day on his channel, that if we were coming into this game and this was a Man United, let's say, or an Arsenal back in the day, and they played like that, that would be a lack of effort. But because this is the champions of England, and I've never saw, even when we've played bad, I've never saw that level of just not being focused and not being aware. And in that game, it was that. And now I feel like that could be the kick up the arse that's actually necessary, my mate, to push on into this derby. Because now we can go into it with them being top of the league and us being where we are with the slight underdog factor, regardless that we're Liverpool and they're Everton.
No, I hear that completely. Owen is back with us now. He did freeze out. He is back. From your point of view, Alex, I mean, it must have been a shock, as James already said. Do you have any concerns or worries, or do you think it will just be business as usual come Saturday? It's a derby, you'll be up for it. Everton's record against you is atrocious in recent years. Or do you think maybe this could be the time that the blue half of Merseyside gets the better of you?
You should do. You should be getting the best out of us at the moment. We're not doing very well, do you know what I mean? So we should do well. Having said that, even if Everton beats us on Saturday, I don't see their season being better than ours. I don't see us not bouncing back. We're still champions. We're still Liverpool. Doesn't really matter. You can beat us on Monday or on Saturday. It doesn't matter. Beat us. We're still going to win the league. We'll still get the points that we need. It doesn't matter. I truly believe in this Liverpool team right now. And if anything, that Aston Villa slap up then that we got, we'll hold the L and we'll learn from it. And maybe that's the wake up that Liverpool needed. I'm not saying though that we'll beat Everton on Saturday because I don't necessarily think we will. But I don't think that it's going to have a major impact on the season either. So that's what I think.
Can I ask you a question on that as well? There's been a lot of talk in the last week. Because you're the champions and one of the best Premier League teams ever, to concede 7 goals and lose the way you did, is it the worst defeat in Premier League history?
Yeah, for me, that's the worst result I've experienced in my lifetime, and I'm 26. So, I mean, we've held some big L's at Stoke. You think of Man City away recently. Obviously, Mane got that red card that changed the game. But I'm pretty confident in saying that game against Villa was easily the worst performance I've ever seen as a Liverpool fan. So, and that's saying a lot, to be fair. So, it was one of those games where I thought I was literally in some kind of trance, and every goal that went in, I ended up laughing. So, you know, to go 2 weeks to not have the chance to set that right, it just adds everything into Saturday's kickoff. And listen, I do think this will be probably the most competitive Merseyside derby ever that there's ever been so far. because of how well they're playing, and you have to give it to them. They started off brilliantly, but we've seen with Jordan Pickford last night, he's still absolutely shocking. And I think, you know, if we're and actually, me and James spoke about this on the channel yesterday on the COP TV. Firmino, Mane, and Salah have never played together at the same time against Everton. On Saturday, it'll be the first time, and they've never experienced them three running on all cylinders. Bobby's just scored 2 for Brazil. So listen, yeah, they could score a goal or two, but I think, you know, if I was to predict this one, I'm going to go with 3-2 Liverpool because of the Everton backline, which has still been leaky, Terry.
No, I get that. We've actually lost Owen again. I'm not sure he's going to be back with us. James, I'll ask you, you know, Everton have started very, very well. Actually, Owen might be back with us now because I wanted to ask Owen about Everton. Owen, it's been the best start to a Premier League season that you've ever had. How confident are you going up against this Liverpool side on Saturday? Oh, his signal's awful. We're gonna have to go with. We'll ask that question. We'll go to James on that question. You know how good Everton have started, though. Is there a worry to you about how good they are and how good they're looking?
Do you know what, Terry, mate? It's a good point that you bring up, and I think this is the greatest start to a season from what I've seen. But I think even statistically, I'm not sure if this is exactly correct, so do not listen to me. But I think in like 100 years, in terms of the start that they've had and the win streak that they've built, mate, it's unreal. And the team that they've got on top of the manager that they've got a philosophy there now. They've got a path, they've got a vision, and they know which way they're going. They're bringing in players that is not only. Like, there's that statement where no player is bigger than a club, but look at James Rodriguez. He's bigger than most clubs, you know what I mean, lad? So it's just, in my opinion, and speaking of James Rodriguez, our key to success is shutting him down as he's involved with the majority of chances that Everton create in a game. So if we can keep him silent, then players like Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, I think we can much withstand the pressure that they've been given to teams this season. And like Alex said before, with Mane, Salah and Firmino all playing together for the first time against Everton, mate, it could be a different story with how shaky their defence is, but you cannot take away that ours has been the same. So in this situation, I wouldn't say I'm worried, but I can only echo what Alex said before when he did say that this is the most competitive Merseyside derby there's been in a long time.
No, I hear that.
I've actually got Everton mates again, by the way, Terry, lads. I've actually got mates who are coming out that I haven't saw for years, blue shirts and that all around by my area, mate. It's disgusting.
No, I hear that. I do hear that. Owen, I mean, listen, it's an amazing start to the campaign for yourselves. Probably maybe even beyond your wildest dreams to start off so well. How confident are you personally going into this Merseyside derby, a game that in recent years you haven't fared well in?
Well, to be honest, all I can see is the real confidence in here coming from the Liverpool fans, and that's absolutely fine. My sort of attitude to the season so far has basically been one game at a time. So Tottenham will get through that one game at a time. West Brom the same. Palace, Brighton. Now Liverpool is just about taking on Liverpool. Obviously, they got beat 7-2 last time out, as we all know. Obviously, the high line didn't really help them. I think we're playing really well at the moment. Calvert-Lewin, he's good at getting in behind defenders, so we can play balls over the top, and they're playing the high line, then maybe we'll have some joy there. Same with Richarlison. James, obviously, providing, obviously, our fullbacks. I think we've got the strongest team we've had for a very long time, so if we're going to beat Liverpool anytime, I feel like it's with this team and with Carlo Ancelotti as manager, but ultimately we'll see. I think Liverpool still be favourites because obviously what they've done in the past couple of years have been incredible. But Liverpool also get very confident, and when they get very confident, they sometimes get overconfident and get beat 7-2. So obviously it'll balance itself out. But I think if we take it one game at a time and keep winning, then obviously we'll be in a super strong position. Hopefully we'll be in a super strong position come Saturday afternoon or about 3:30.
I hear that. Alex and the boys over there at COP TV, I wanted to ask you, Dominic Calvert-Lewin made his England debut, scoring goals, that cannot stop scoring at the moment. Do you think it's a bit of a flash in the pan, or is he the real deal?
I think he could be the real deal, I think.
I don't know. We've got to see if he does it in a few seasons' time. We can't do something in one season and say is he the real deal? That's the way I see it. When Harry Kane was coming through, everyone said the same about him, and he'd done it a few seasons in a row, and that's when everyone agreed that, yeah, he's a world-class player. After he does it in a few seasons, yeah, I think Big Dunk has been a massive thing for his progression and the way he plays football. I remember growing up and I watched Duncan Ferguson play footy, and it's a similar style. He just has a one-touch finish. He knows where to be in the box. He's a proper old-school striker. And to be honest, I like him. I like his attitude. I like who he is as a person as well. I think we just got to see in a few seasons' time what he's going to be like first.
He's come into the kind of forefront quite late. I think he's always been the second man at Everton, hasn't he? When Rooney was there, they've had Richarlison in front of him at times. But since Ancelotti's come in, he's literally said, like, I've managed X, Y, Z, Ronaldo, all these guys, Lewandowski. And I think he actually said, like, Calvert-Lewin's up there with one of the best. Like, you can't find someone who's his height with his kind of body frame, who's that good with his feet and finishes well in tight spaces. He scored some really poacher goals, but a lot of them have been reaction finishes that have actually been quite tough. So, listen, he's banging the goals in, and we'll see how he does on Saturday against Virgil. But no, I do think if he does the same thing next season, as well as carrying on well this season, then I genuinely do think you've got someone who will be looked at in the same kind of category for Everton if he does stay, as someone like a Rooney, considering he didn't do anything for Everton in terms of trophies or anything like that. He did well at United, of course, but if Calvert-Lewin can fire them to a high-place finish and maybe a trophy, then he's got to be looked at, well, in the same bracket as Duncan, I'd say.
Especially if a trophy can come in. And he has started well. There's no doubt about that. The young man has started well. I always get a bit worried, though, about these when players are playing well and they have these purple patches. I remember Tammy Abraham at the beginning of last season scored 7 goals in 3 games. He was the new Didier Drogba. He was going to set the world alight. And, he's by the end of the season, he's fallen behind Giroud. He'd fallen behind Giroud in the pecking order. Timo Werner's now come in, and now there's big rumours that Chelsea are going to try and sign Haaland next year. And you think, well, this guy this time last season was being spoken about. And I just think, and I'm sure Calvert-Lewin will, he's got to keep his feet on the ground and not get too carried away with himself. James, I wanted to ask you about Liverpool's defence, because for me, for 2 seasons running, there wasn't a better defensive unit in world football. But the beginning of the season's been poor. The back end of last season, you were getting got at a bit. Do you think, and there's always a contrast in opinion amongst football fans. Some say it's just a bad run of form. Some say maybe tactically you've got to change things. Others are you've been found out a little bit now. What do you personally put it down to, mate?
I can only put it down to, Terry, that it's the way that, because this is what Jurgen Klopp likes to do. The approach that he takes into a season is, I don't want to be caught out like I was last year. And if that means that I've got to lose a couple of games or drop a couple of points due to getting used to that style of play, then that's just how it is, because we're not used to playing such a high line like what we're playing this season. We've changed our style and the way we play near enough every season that Jurgen Klopp has joined since the 15-16 season. So it doesn't surprise me to see a new approach. Do I think it's the approach that we should keep taking? I'm not really too sure. We conceded 3 goals against Leeds, and then, as Owen proudly mentioned before, we conceded 7 to Aston Villa. But you know what, lads? It happens, and well, it doesn't happen. Losing 7-2 to Aston Villa never happens. But you get what I mean. In terms of right now, I just think Jurgen Klopp, he will realise that for the bad things that this is bringing into our starting 11, it will create a lot more good things. Offensively, he's probably trying to change the team. And you talk about not wanting to get caught out. I think that's why we're playing the way we are, and we're trying to adapt to a new system. Because if you look at Pep Guardiola and managers like that, and I'm not dissing Pep Guardiola, he's brilliant, one of the greatest managers of all time, but he doesn't really change much. Therefore, he gets caught out, and after about 3 or 4 or 5 years, he'll leave because there's not much left for him to do. Whereas Jurgen doesn't want to fall into that trap. So that's the only way I see it. But if you ask me, and me personally, I would say change it up a little bit.
Yeah, it's an interesting point you make there. I think we spoke about this a few times this week on the Football Terrace, that one thing about Fergie, and the only manager he didn't do it against, or system or style, was Pep, where he overcome it as a manager. And you can't really blame him for that. Man was like well past bus pass age by the time he really came up against Klopp, against Pep. But Fergie, every time a new challenge came along, whether it was the Blackburns, the Newcastles, Wenger's Arsenal, Jose's Chelsea, he overcome it, changed systems, changed formations, changed the way we played. That's the difference between a great coach and a great manager. Can you change your system to adapt to people? circumventing you. And I think Liverpool have had that a lot recently, where teams have kind of gone 4-4-1-1 against you, try to nullify your fullbacks. It's been difficult. And this is where you'll see the brilliance of Jurgen Klopp, is in he'll try and change that system to say, okay, well, I'm going to come back a new way. I think the signing of Thiago is a massive part of that. And then it's one, now stop us now after the chess move's been done. And it's going to be a really intriguing season to watch that. Owen, I wanted to ask you before we kind of go into team selections and stuff. Everton, I know you said like taking it one game at a time. Do you think you've got a good opportunity this season of making the top 4, making the top 6? Where's your head at right now in terms of your overall season ambitions?
I don't really want to get drawn down to a place in the league, because I think if we do that and I say I want Everton to finish in the top 4, this will be clipped up in months to come and say, oh, look, when Everton fans thought they were getting the top 4. I just want us to go into every game trying to win, and we'll see where it takes us. I think we've certainly got a top 4 manager, and I would certainly say we've got players who arguably belong in the top 4 team. It's just about whether we can sustain it over the season. I think we're a bit light if Dom gets injured up front, and obviously we're more strong at the back now with signing Ben Godfrey and that. But I think over the course of a season, his form takes into account. I think our target for this season is to get in. I think whether that be top 4 or we'll just incremental progress. Ancelotti is we should really be looking for. I think obviously Liverpool are a established team in the top 4 and obviously the top 2 now. I think we're a way bit behind that. I think we'll see ultimately where we finish, but I think if we're going to do with anyone, it'll be with Carlo Ancelotti.
I hear you on that one. Do you either of yourselves, either James or boys over there, Alex and the boys over at Coppish, the Cop TV, not the Coppish. I'm chatting to them later. God, so many cops this, cops that going from ahead at the minute. It's crazy. Are you worried about Everton this season? Could they be dark horses? Could they break into the top 4, top 6? Or do you think this is just, they'll level out by Christmas, by New Year, and sort of back in the sort of mid-table areas?
I think
I don't see them. Sorry, Alex, mate. Sorry, lads. I don't see them getting back in. I don't see them dropping back into the 11th and 12th spot we're usually used to seeing. I think that would be naive as a Liverpool fan to think that, because as being a Liverpool fan, we haven't always been good, Terry. You know this, my mate. We haven't always been good at football. So when Jurgen Klopp came in, I saw the plan, I saw the vision, and that's what Everton fans should be seeing. And I'm not trying. Listen, mate. Me and Everton fans, we've got a funny relationship, and I'm not trying to lift any Everton fans' arse here, but I'm trying to offer to you that you have got a manager who is better than every manager that you've had previous to him for a very long time, and that's exciting. And already, from one summer transfer window, you've saw that excitement. So it would be stupid from any Liverpool fan to think and go off what we've seen to say Everton are going to drop off, but to say that they're going to go into the top 4 and top 3, they definitely can. But to say they're going to do it now is a bit too soon. And again, from a Liverpool fan point of view, I understand that as well, because even when Jurgen first came in, I was saying top 4 first season, and he got 8th and lost 2 finals. So it takes time, but I don't see them dropping off now.
How about yourself, Alex?
Yeah, I think definitely I've sat up and paid attention now. That was something that I really wasn't doing until at least the 4th game in, and then I was like, okay, they're actually quite good now. I should probably watch them a little bit more. Listen, it'll be interesting for you to ask us that same question, Terry, in December around Christmas time. I think, listen, we're 4, we're not 5 games in yet. I don't really pay attention to how the league table looks until maybe 10 games in, to be honest with you. We've seen some teams have some great starts, and then they've definitely faded away. And I'm not saying Everton will. I do think if there's any season where they can actually infiltrate that kind of top 7, top 6, it's definitely this season. This is their best chance for any type of success this season, more than any other season I've ever known about them, to be honest, because they are looking good. But we'll come back to the question in January. I mean, listen, for the city of Liverpool, it would be a great thing to have both teams fighting up there. Maybe if we got a little FA Cup final together again, I think that would bring it all together a bit more. But I'm definitely paying attention to them, but we'll see how the season progresses. But if they do well, as long as we finish above them, then, in a way, I'm quite happy for them.
I'm happy to see this, mate. I'm happy to see Liverpool and Everton have competitive derbies now. How many derbies have you seen with Liverpool and Everton where it's 0-0, 1-1, and they're just boring? Like, they're not even good derbies anymore. So this is good for us. It's good for the... Like, I sit with my mates who are Everton fans, and I enjoy watching Everton play football now because they're great. Having said that, they've got no depth. And depth's what wins you stuff. That's what wins you trophies. That's what gets you further down the league. And a good goalkeeper, mate. That's the thing. That's another thing. But that depth thing is massive. That's what's going to stop them from getting to a certain point. So what they're going to need a few more years to develop that. They've got a great playing style. And what I would say now is, for instance, James Rodriguez, brilliant. I love him. Love watching him play football. But if you shut him down, what happens? Where's all the service? They've got Digny. He's another great little player as well. But if you shut James down now, who's the playmaker, what happens after that? So I think they've got a few questions to answer first before we start talking about they're going to be here, they're going to win this. But having said that, great to watch at the moment. Love it. Genuinely do.
No, I get that completely. And I know you guys alluded to at the beginning of this. Are you still confident that Liverpool will retain their Premier League title this year? James, what do you reckon, mate?
I think we should. When you go off paper, I think it is either us or Man City as the favourites. Do you know what I mean? I think it'd be stupid to throw us off the pitch if you're making a prediction that is just because of one game against Aston Villa. I'm confident, mate. That Aston Villa game didn't shake me up. It didn't scare me. I still believe in my players. I know how good my players are, Terry. I know that. And people call me biased when I talk about how good Liverpool's team is. But like I said before, I've saw a bad team and an average team and a good team. This is beyond what I ever thought I was going to see. And for that reason, you can't write them off after one bad loss. You've got to give them the hope because that is what Jurgen and his men has instilled into us as fans. They gave us that little bit more. Oh, we can actually win stuff. We don't just fall short at the last hurdle. And we saw our team overcome adversity before. We saw our team do loads of that stuff. So it's okay to see that happen, do you know what I mean? It's okay to see us lose, but I'm just fine with just going forward, and I'm confident, mate, 100%.
Yeah, I think as a Man United fan, I want to throw salt and I want to laugh. And of course, when you lost 7-2, it was amazing. Especially the day that we got slapped 6-1, it really did take the sting out of it slightly. But you've got this, it did. I think from my point of view, though, there's going to be a lot of these shock. Hello. There's going to be a lot of these shock results this season, and not just in the Premier League. We've seen PSG lose to teams they should never lose to. We've seen Bayern Munich get slapped up already. City concede crazy amounts of goals. As an example, this isn't just a Liverpool thing where they've conceded quite a few. A lot of the teams that have been trying to play their open and expansive football have come short. And I think, Arsenal haven't had a slapping yet. They're acting like it's not going to happen this season. It will. Chelsea have conceded quite a few goals. I think by the end of this campaign, we'll look back and the 7-2 may seem a little bit abnormal, but you're going to see quite a few of these games where big teams get shock results or concede quite a few because we are playing in really difficult circumstances. There's no crowd. I could imagine if there was crowds when you got the game back to 2-1 with the away Liverpool fans there, and then the pressure would have then been building, and the crowd at Aston Villa would have been like me at home, where I was like, Liverpool are going to come back now. Because you didn't have that anxiety from the Villa fans and the excitement from the Liverpool supporters, it changes the dynamic, and that's what none of these footballers are used to it, and it's going to take time for them to adapt. So, yeah, it's fun to throw a little bit of salt and a little bit of banter. But anyone writing Liverpool off right now, I think they're mad. I think they're absolutely crazy to write them off right now. And it's only going to make you look stupid in the long run, really.
Discredit us just after one game, one upset like that. Like we've really touched on, it's the worst performance in 25 years. But we've shown already how good we are coming back from huge lows. You look at the Champions League final, losing the league by 11 centimetres or 11 millimetres by whatever the fuck it was. So we've shown that, yes, we can take an L, but we turn it around. And this is such a huge statement if we come away from this game with a win. To be honest, Terry, we scored. We haven't scored at Goodison since 2016. If we come out there with a few goals scored and even a clean sheet, which I don't think will happen, but I think, again, people then start to go, actually, look, they've just turned it completely around again. They are still the favourites, and then everyone's faith is restored again. So it will be a huge statement if we win this.
It's what I said at the start. I was being overconfident, of course. It's what Liverpool fans are sometimes. But it was essentially just that I'm confident in this team and its ability to bounce back. It's just really good at that. And even if game that's the ends in the for us, I still don't see that having a major impact on our season. I genuinely don't. I feel like we're just going to keep sucking on the way we do, because that's what Jurgen Klopp teams do, and that's what Liverpool do with the mentality. Having said that, the one thing that's going to hold us back is what you said about the crowds. Liverpool love their crowd. The Kop, Anfield, that is a massive weapon that we use in this league. And we don't have it anymore. We don't have that weapon anymore. So I agree with that. You know, the reason why we lost 7-2 is probably when it goes 3-1 or 3-0 down, you haven't got them fans picking your up to go and chase the game again. Your head just goes down and you haven't some sort of know the mechanism to pick yourself up anymore, because you don't do that anymore. It's not your style. So I think, we'll be fine throughout the season.
No, I totally agree. And I think there's so many things about this season that needs to be taken into consideration. There's going to be less clean sheets because it's anticipated there's going to be about 70 to 80 additional penalties given for this new handball rule that now echoes what Europe's got. If you look at how many penalties European countries get for handball compared to us last season, it's like 70 to 1. It's crazy. So it's about 70 to 10. So there's going to be less clean sheets. There's going to be a lot more shock results. So I think it's just going to be one of those seasons where you might see a team win the league with 80 points and maybe 5-6 defeats, but it doesn't mean you're a bad team. It's abnormal. So I just think people have got to prepare themselves for that. But I'm sure if you win it on 50 points and having lost 10 games, you're going to celebrate just as hard. Like it's just 110%. We can do score predictions now. We're going to go to Owen first of all, in case we lose him again. Owen, what's your score prediction for Saturday's lunchtime kickoff? Can you hear me, Owen?
Can you hear me?
Yes, mate. Yeah. What's your score prediction for the game?
For score prediction, I'll firstly apologise because my thing keeps cutting out, but I think it's all right now. I'm going to go for 2-2. I think it'll be a more entertaining game than the previous derbies, as good as it have been, and I think we'll lead until towards the end, and they'll just get an equaliser due to something Jordan Pickford probably does. That's how I see it going, anyway.
I get that. Alex and Cottage TV, what's your predictions, boys? I know you've already given one, Alex. Just reiterate what that was again for us.
Well, mine, I'm going to go with 3-2. I think Doyle is more likely to go with. What do you think?
I'm thinking, just what I think this game's going to be similar to the one where Liverpool won 4-2. It was both teams going at each other. Yeah. Liverpool were a little bit more dominant. Might be 5-2, and Liverpool were a little bit more dominant in that game, but I don't think it'll be quite the same balance this time. But I do think they're both going to be going at each other. So again, could be either way. 4-2, I reckon it's going to be Liverpool. I genuinely think it's going to be one of them type of games.
End-to-end galore.
Goalkeepers are not in great form. They're going to be letting goals in. It's definitely not going to be a 0-0. I can tell you that.
Yeah. 100%.
I've just said that.
James,
I mean, I'll probably take 0-0.
I'm going with a 2-1, the boys. I'm going for the 2-1. I think it'll be close, and I think there'll be a lot of chances. I can't even foresee a goalkeeper mistake or two, but I say it's going to be 2-1 because I think both teams are going to be heavily attacking, but I don't see as many goals as being scored as what people think. And I understand why people are coming up with the scorelines that they are, but 2-1 to the almighty Reds in Goodison, or Everton, should I say, still haven't beat Liverpool in God knows how long. Hopefully. Fucking hopefully.
I hear you on that. I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with 1-1, and I'm going to say what I'd love to happen, last minute equaliser for Everton after a mistake from Virgil van Maguire. Like if he's in his Maguire form,
have some respect and behave.
This season, his mistakes have been awful, and I'm hoping for another one just for the banter. He's
I'm not making me pound Smeg Bridge.
Listen, he is. You're absolutely right. Virgil van Dijk is 3 times the player that Maguire is. So that means every mistake he makes is 3 times as funny. So that's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm saying. If you're that much better, the mistakes are that much more high profile. That's a logic. But there we go. Boys, I appreciate you all coming on and having your say. Everyone who's tuned in, smash the like button. Make sure you go check out the Kop TV. And James, you're on social media as well, right? Let everyone know where they can find you.
Socials and James Redmond TV on the YouTube, the boys.
There you go. And Owen, how about yourself?
It's Owen Parks 123 on Twitter, and look around for the Parks and Benders podcast. That's about that I often do with me and Aaron. We talk about Premier League football, so keep an eye out for that.
There we go. Thank you very much, gents, for all coming on. Everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.
Up the Nets.